So today we're putting in a sand point well. So a sand point is this bad boy right here. And this is basically just one giant metal filter with a big point on the end. And what you do with this thing is you beat it into the ground and then you screw a pipe into it. And then you beat that pipe into the ground. And then you screw a pipe into that pipe and then you beat that into the ground. And you can go down about 25 feet. That's about the maximum draw depth you can go. And this just pulls water straight out of the water table. And this isn't the best for drinking water, but for irrigating cotton, it should be ideal. And these are super cheap and easy to install compared to, say, a shallow water well or a deep water well. I think all of the parts, including water testing kit and everything for all this, ended up being less than $350, like $325 or something. And a shallow water well with like a pump and expansion tank and all that was going to cost like $2,500. So since I'm just irrigating a little bit of cotton, this is a much better system. So I've taken the first step. I've used the post hole digger to dig about 1.5 foot deep hole, and I have driven the sand point down in about maybe 4 inches, and I have made sure that it is level on my 2 axes. Well, level enough. I have affixed the drive cap, and this is basically just a big dead end chunk of cast steel that you put on there to protect the threads and act as a sacrificial beating surface so that you can drive the sand point all the way into the ground. And then I'm just taking my 10-pound beater, give it in a few taps, except much harder than that. Step is I'm going to be adding a drive coupling. Before I can do that, I'm going to have to apply some Teflon tape. And this just provides a gas-tight seal, a pressure-tight, gas-tight, watertight seal between the threads, because although these threads are nicely machined, these ones that were done with the thread cutting machine at the local hardware store are not. And also I somehow got dirt on there, so I'm going to have to clean that. And when you're using Teflon tape, you always want to wrap in a clockwise direction when using right-hand threads, which are your typical threads, because otherwise it will unwrap the Teflon tape. Alright, now that I've got my coupling hand tight, I'm going to slap on a pipe wrench, which is going to be difficult with one hand while filming. And I'm going to torque this nice and tight. And I'm not going to be able to do that one-handed, but I'm just going to put the second pipe wrench right up here. And give it an old twist. All right, we're back out here at the Hutchinson house, hit some snags, so we're fixing the pump. We're here with Bob. Say hi, Bob.
Hi.
We had this issue where we could not get this drive cap to fit in that post driver, so I had to take this home and sand 1/8 of an inch off of it. And so we were using that sledge there, which caused it to do that to the threads on the pipe, which is not what you want on the pipe. So we had to go to the hardware store and buy this sacrificial nipple, get that fixed. But me and Bob came out here and we beat on this thing, and now we got the pump in. And it has been 5 minutes since I primed this pump, so we should be clear to start pumping. I already filled this pipe all the way up just so it wouldn't run dry. So we're gonna pump this till sand comes out. And if it does, we know it works. That looks like sand to me. Can't imagine this is terribly good for the leathers, but... Well, so we pumped this thing about 100 times, and as you can see, the water is getting slightly clearer. You can see the pitcher through the water. It no longer looks like orange paint. So that's a good sign.
It's easy to pump, so even if some women had to come out here, they'd be able to get it.
Oh yeah, that and kids. Well, they'd be able to hang on it. It's it takes some mass, but it's pretty smooth. So we're just going to get this to where it looks reasonably clear. There's no reason to go hog wild. We're just using this for irrigation. It's going pretty clear now. I think we're about there. I tried some of it, and it's pretty good. It's clean water. It just sort of tastes like black iron pipe and thread cutting oil. And it's got a bit of grit to it, but I think that should be more than sufficient for watering cotton. It does taste a bit hard watery, but I can't tell if that's just the taste of iron pipe or if that's natural iron. But we'll get a pot full and we'll water some seeds. It's only been 3 days since I planted, so I don't think anything's germinated. Okay, I elected not to water the cotton. There's going to be a cold snap coming here on Tuesday. It's supposed to get about 10 degrees colder than they forecasted last week, so I don't want to risk any chance of an early germination because I've planted 90% of my seeds, so I don't want anything freezing. So it's supposed to get down to like 45 tomorrow night. So I'm not going to water them. I'm just going to let them sit and be dry till they decide to come up. I'll come out here and water them as soon as there's nothing forecasted below 60 for a week. All right, now that all of that's done, let me give you a quick rundown of how a shallow water sand point well like this works. Well, the way a sand point works is you just beat it straight into the ground. You're already familiar with that. But now I'll show you how a pitcher pump works. If you can see down in there, I don't know how well it'll show it, but this is basically just a pair of one-way valves. There's a check valve here and a check valve here. See right here, there is a check valve right here, and these are leathers. They're made of actual leather. They're not neoprene or anything, which is why you have to prime this pump. You have to pour some water in here and allow these seals to soak with water, and then they'll become, you know, watertight, and they'll allow you to pull negative pressure. So when you pull this handle down, that plunger goes all the way down, and the water comes up on top of that plunger. And then, when you push this down, it pulls that column of water up, and it comes out this spigot. And it also pulls the water up this pipe back up to here. And then when you push this down, this water in here doesn't move. The plunger just moves through the water down. And then when you pull this again, it pulls the column of water up. Then the plunger goes down in the column of water. This keeps it from pushing the water back down to the pipe. And then you pull that back up. This keeps water from going down, and this keeps water from going down. So when you push this down, this keeps that water from going down. And when you push this up, that keeps this water from going down past it, so it pulls it up. So it's basically like a lock system. You're pulling the water up to here, then you're pulling that water up out of here, and then you're pulling that water back up to here, and then back out. So it's a two-step pump. And don't worry about any of this water I'm pumping on the ground. It's just going straight back into the groundwater, right back down to where the pump is. So it's a cycle. That's why I have the pump so close to the garden, is so that this water isn't leaving the groundwater system around here. It's just going over there. So I'm taking water from 20 foot down right there and putting it right here on top of the water. Some of that's lost through evaporation, so I am lowering the water table here a small bit, but not by much. I'm only removing a few gallons at a time. The amount of pumping I'm doing here right now is just so I can get the water clear. So my next step is going to be doing a water test kit. I'm going to get an EPA certified water test kit, and I'm going to test this for mineral contaminants, and that'll let us know if this is potable or not. I tasted the water, as I said before. It tastes like thread cutting oil, black iron pipe, and hard water, and it's got some grit in it. But other than that, there's no sodium that I can taste, so I've got confidence that this is pretty good water. So this should just be pure sand filtered rainwater going right in here. So, but we're gonna test it anyway because you don't want to die of lead poisoning, so you don't want to play around with that.